Hello everyone and welcome back to the EA Sports Creator Series, and it is season finale week, everybody. Yes, we have reached the conclusion of the maiden Creator Series season on F1 24, and of course on this fabulous Friday evening Formula 2 will take centre stage, and for the very first time in its 3-season history we have a title decider. Let's go. Two drivers left in contention, Dark Viper GT and Lolinoba, but only one of them will join Unstop Rob and Mr. Dale JE in the Hall of Fame. But first of all, in the virtual commentary box, for what I can only hope will be an outstanding climax to our Formula 2 Championship, it is myself, Tom, and it is actually Carl alongside me. How are you doing, mate?
Well, Timothy, thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome, everybody, to a tremendous Temple of Speed, and, well, we've got a cracker on our hands, haven't we? It's going to be fireworks, quite possibly. Not only that as well, we've got quite a bit to talk about. We've got just a little bit before the sprint race we can sprinkle from the heavens to send you with some information. Firstly, because, as stated, it's close in the championship, just 4 points, separating Dark Viper and Lolinoba, who, I mean, I've got to say, it's been absolutely superb. I mean, he took 4 weeks off, and it took him until last week for anybody to get within reach. Unbelievable, honestly. But then we've also got the fight for third place, third down to fifth, just separated by 8 points. And that could be quite spicy too.
100%. And we've got a stacked grid as well that we'll go through in a moment. What we're going to do, we've started a little bit early. We're going to go through a bit of a tale of the tape, if you will, discussing how the championship protagonists have put together their seasons. A couple of things really stand out, and you alluded to it just then. The main one being, out of the 12 races we've had so far, Dark Viper and Lolinoba have only competed together 4 times. I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
You can't write this kind of stuff, can you? Honestly. And the thing is now, because Lolinoba made that jump to Formula 1, which is why he took that step back initially, they're both reserve drivers. We have 2 reserve drivers fighting it out. Of course, Lolinoba was with the Dams team right up until he got promoted to the Kick Sauber Stake F1 team. It's a mouthful. But at the end of the day, he did the conquest, and now he's come back to conquer Formula 2 as well, or at least that is the plan. Also, a little statistic for you, just to highlight how strong Lolinoba has been despite not being here for nearly a third of the season. Every single feature race he's been in hasn't finished off the podium once. That is a very important statistic as well, because nobody has done that before. Season number 1, Unstopped Rob won the championship. He had 7 out of 8 feature race podiums. Dale in season number 2 with 6 out of 7. Mr. Dale, by the way, returning for the first time since he picked up the championship at the end of F1 23. I am very excited to see how that will go. But yes, they've gone about constructing these campaigns very, very differently. Dark Viper's won 5 out of 9 sprint races that he's contested, compared to the 3 out of 8 that Lolinoba has got. We've also got to talk about the 5 consecutive that Dark Viper picked up, from round number 6, the fan vote, to Las Vegas, round number 10. And he's also on a 7 consecutive streak of finishing on the podium in those sprints. And then Lolinoba, conversely, has 5 feature race wins, only 1 for Dark Viper so far. And like you said, Lolinoba with that opportunity to become the first driver to finish on the podium in every feature race they have contested. So you could say it's a case of the sprint king coming up against the feature ace, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see which one comes up trumps in this title battle. It's a saturation of sublime information for you, ladies and gentlemen.
All the stats.
It's what we can provide here today. But it's interesting, though, because we've seen Lolinoba's been strong all the way throughout the season, but if we're looking for like the recent races, we're looking particularly at Zandvoort last week. It's always much easier to hunt than be hunted. And all this time, Dark Viper has been in that position of chasing down Lolinoba. He's been reeling in the big fish. And he is now in that top spot. He is in the pound seat for the championship. But it's Formula 2. We know how quickly things can change. We know nothing is ever set in stone right up until the final moments. And so that 4-point gap, of course, that pendulum now shifts. He's not the one chasing anymore. And his team radio from last week, Dark Vipers, as soon as the feature race ended, I think was quite telling. He said he was racing for points. He wasn't going full send. And maybe he'll have to keep that conservative mindset again. It'll be interesting to see how both of these 2 contenders approach these couple of races coming up.
Yeah, it's a really good point. The pressure difference from hunting down your rival to then leading it. He's technically the favourite going into the finale, although we've got to talk about it. Is there a bit of home advantage here? We're in Monza, the home of Lolinoba, the Italian Grand Prix. Do you think we're going to see that play a part?
Oh, quite possibly, of course. But if I'm alluding to previous commentaries that I've done, I remember F1 23, just to rack your minds back a little bit. The very last race at the French Grand Prix, Skyzy had the home advantage there. He didn't come out on top. But like I say, it's not all set in stone. Of course, it will probably help a bit. And I will say now, from some reconnaissance, Lolinova looked quick around Monza. He looked like he was on it like a car bonnet. It could be very interesting, like you say, Sprint King versus the ferocious feature race. We are in for a treat tonight.
It's going to be really exciting. If we can pull up the standings very quickly, we'll give everyone a visual of how it looks. Obviously, we said it's a 4-point deficit that Lolinova has to overcome. What we do have the luxury of knowing, and this is what's the most exciting part, it will go down to a feature race finale. The maximum gap that we can see will be 12 points in Lolinova's, in Dark Viper's favour, with 8 points for winning the sprint race and an extra 1 for fastest lap. The sprint race won't necessarily decide the outcome of the championship, but I think it's going to be crucial for laying a marker down, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You want to start the weekend off on the right foot. I think that's the best way. Putting the best foot forward is the greatest way to go. I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's very easy not to be able to do that, especially in a category that can go slightly haywire at times. But that's all part of the fun of it. And like I say, the sprint, the thing is, if Lolinova does drastically better than Dark Viper in the sprint, he'll then possibly take the lead again. Then the mindset switches again. Then he's the one that's being hunted. It goes the other way around, but you can't really let that pressure weigh down on your shoulders. Also, just looking at the standings while I'm on this very twisty and turny train of thought, that battle for third is going to be very interesting. Also, shout out to Gwatz. I've got his name right this time. Gwatz. He's only been here 4 weeks, and he's already up to 8th in the standings and past the 100-point mark, and he's done extremely well, hasn't he?
Yeah, and this is a track that he goes well at as well. His first victory back in Season 1 in the Creator Series came at this very venue in the sprint race. He's up to 5 now total Creator Series wins. 3 coming in the last 4 weeks since returning halfway through that F2 season. I think the battle for third is going to be fascinating as well, because they're all in very different form. F1 Alex hasn't been on the podium, or he's got one podium, in the past 8 weeks. And Kryzik's in 4th is coming off the back of back-to-back feature race wins.
Yeah, it's a huge momentum difference between them, and Adam Sanderson has sort of been on the middle ground, really. It's sort of platooning between the two. Because F1 Alex was in that driving seat for third place a lot of the time, and then like you say, past 8 races just haven't gone his way at all whatsoever. That's how drastically the pendulum can shift, and the fall, always notoriously much quicker than the climb can be. It's a long, long way for him to. If there's ever a perfect time for him to get it together, it's right now. But he's got to start it on the right foot.
Yeah, there's pride at stake. Finished second in the championship last season to Mr. Dale. Could finish third again. And that would mean he's probably going to get it anyway. But 3 top 5 finishes in the first 3 seasons of Creator Series F2. He's an incredibly consistent performer week in, week out. I know he hasn't necessarily had the heights of especially last season, but he's always right there. If he has a bad week, he can pick himself up. And I think this is the most important thing as well. Obviously, he's not in a championship fight, but picking up points when you're not at your best, that's a skill that's actually very, very difficult to develop.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very easy to throw in the towel if it's not going your way. In fact, it's probably the easiest thing you can do, because you think, what else has this race got left for me? But sometimes if you just weather that storm a little bit, there can still be prizes from it. You've got to remember, points being awarded from 1st down to 15th in the feature race, for instance, every point counts. So every single microsecond matters, as we've got the word in our ear, the sprint race is just around the corner.
Well, it's going to be very exciting. Reverse championship order, of course, with the reserves starting from the back. When we get into it, Carl, I think you should take us through the 5 red lights and the opening lap of this sprint race. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Free hit, in my opinion, for Dark Viper. The maximum behind he can be is 5 points. I think he's just got to go for it. Could give himself a really important buffer going into that all-important feature race.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see the mindset between the 2 protagonists at the top. And I will happily do the 5 red lights with pleasure, my friend. We are almost ready for a sensational sprint race at the Temple of Speed. And there's almost no more an historic venue than the Temple of Speed to go racing in Formula 1. It's one of the absolute thoroughbred circuits. We love it to bits. And like I say, there could be fireworks tonight in Formula 2.
Strap yourselves in. For the first time, we've got a championship fight on our hands Lolinober, Dark Viper, one of them is going to join the Hall of Fame. Which one is it going to be? Probably a coin toss. That's the wrong way around. A coin toss. We'll just go with it anyway.
I like it. I like a toin toss. I'm gonna toin that term, as it were. Anywho, not long to go now. Keep your eyes peeled for the battle for first place in the championship. Dark Viper versus Lolinober. Keep your eyes peeled for the third place battle. Adam Sanderson, Cryzix, F1 Alex, and for everyone else, it is the price of pride at stake as we go over to the sprint race. And as it turns out, we have a formation lap.
Whoa.
I was not expecting that, but we have more time to waffle on about the stipulations of this sprint in particular. We've got Blackmere at the front of the field. Like I say, reverse championship order, reserves at the back, meaning Lolinober and Dark Viper have it all to do. So well, you might think it wouldn't be all too surprising if they didn't score in this sprint. But the thing is, chaos breeds chaos in this category, so there's every reason why they could get up to that top 8 and really cement themselves this weekend.
100%. They've got to be careful of a very quick driver behind them as well, though. The reigning champ, Mr. Dale, he's going to be deposed as champion in, about 90 minutes' time. But he's going to want to put out a statement, especially if he's coming back or has plans of coming back for season number 4. And I saw some of his practice, and he did have some fairly decent pace, so definitely got to watch out for Mr. Dale. Obviously, changes. We're on a different game. Last year, we were on F1 23 when we were on the run down into Tarzan. We had quite a few 3-wide moments, actually, especially in the sprint race, so it could be absolute chaos and bedlam for a few drivers trying to force their way through. Lolinober and Dark Viper, they'll be staring each other out on the grid, lining up alongside each other. It's going to be really, really interesting. I'm very interested to see how they approach it. Will we see caution? Will we see them being overly protective of their front wing? Will we see them try not to get involved in incidents? Or will they be thinking, I've got a great opportunity here to put a marker down, put pressure back onto my opponent and get a really, really big result? As we've already got some disqualifications, and it's Lolinober. That's not a particularly good omen for the racer in his backyard at the moment.
No, absolutely. They're going to be waiting with comparative igloos on the grid compared to everybody else, but we'll see. You never know. Just got to switch it off and carry on. But here we are, lining up on the grid. On the point of view of Arsenault, TTV. Looking behind at TTV Blackmere. Oh, goodness me. Pondon's had a moment. And someone else, actually, Pondon already got disqualified. Jess Ball's been disqualified. It's absolute mayhem in Monza before the race even starts. But we put that all behind us. Let the suspense build up to the symphony of the sound of Formula 2 here in Monza. Green flags waving. We await the 5 red lights, which they are on now for the sprint race in Monza. Lights out and away we go, and it looks like it's a good start for Blackmere versus Arsenault, who's completely been swamped. Jess Ball roaring past on the left and the right hand side of your picture. Blackmere's got a whole post. First chicane, that's a 10-second penalty slapped onto his name as they all make it through the first chicane with relative safety, side-by-side action all the way through the Curva Grande. Blackmere holds the lead, Jess Ball second, Pondon in third. There's hardly anything to separate these competitors. It's unbelievable. Hayden Gullis pile driving down the inside. Arsenault's gone cutting a chicane again. What is going on? It's mayhem in Monza. Would you believe it? Through Lesmo 1. Look at the side-by-side action, Tom. Almost running 2 abreast the entire field.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Arsenault going lawn mowing through the Della Roggia chicane, trying to keep out of everyone's way. I think a couple of the championship contenders are making their way through. Yes, still nose to tail. Lolinober 11, Dark Viper 12. Difficult start for Gwatz, losing a couple of places. His teammate F1 Scott has flown through the field from, I think, 8th or 9th on the grid, up into 2nd place. F1 Scott 2.5 seconds off the back, down the inside into Ascari we go. I think that was Hayden Gullis. And we've got a car park going through Ascari. Can't quite see who is involved. Lolinober's definitely losing place. We've got a Trident off the road as well. I think it may be Arsenault who's got involved in a skirmish once again, down into 15th place. Zach RC losing time as well.
Goodness gracious me, all happening on lap 1 as there's moves going on further up. We've got squats who are on board with right in the slipstream of F1. Alex is down the inside. Dale tries to go. He returns to F2 and he's spoiling for a fight. Blackmere across the line then as we head on to lap number 2 already of this sprint race. Got a 1.5 second gap to F1 Scott. A little bit of a lock-up into the chicane. Just got to keep it on the road as Dragonflies moves up ahead of Dan Moran, although they're still dicing for position. 6th and 7th. Dan Moran's given the cold shoulder. It means Jess Ball's snuffing out an opportunity. The prey is straight in front of her as onto the grass goes Dan Moran. 3 abreast almost, again through Curva Grande, as Kryzix is the one on the move. Dan Moran having to defend, well actually not even close. I don't know why I said that, he's not even close enough. Oh, he's made a huge haulix of that chicane though, and cutting through. Kryzix, Dark Viper, nodding over, as even more dust and dirt thrown up. Front wing damage for Dan Moran. I can hardly get my breath back so far.
He's definitely come to blows with someone, not sure who it was. Dark Viper's got ahead of Lolin Ober and all of this as well. Dan Moran trying to be Dan the man, but he certainly wasn't as he came a cropper into the Delia Roger chicane as drivers deal on the opening lap as well. Luke Howard and Pond battling down into a scar. I think there may have been a little bit of contact, both of them getting through cleanly. Luke Howard, driver of the day in F2 last week, picking up 3rd place on a plate there as F1 Scott is going to fly past Blackmere, you would imagine here, down into the Parabolica. Side by side we go for the lead of the sprint race. 3 cars battling behind them as well. Luke Howard ponding up the inside, potentially contact again. F1 Scott electing to stay behind for the time being. Hayden Gullis trying to banish the demons from the previous race he had at Monza in season number 1 of F2, pitted under a late safety car, and it potentially cost him a shot at the championship. Fastest lap for the ART driver. He's trying to make a couple of places up. F1 Scott's trying to take the lead down to the first chicane. I think he's going to make that very, very easy around the outside. Will Blackmere fight this? He's got the inside line, but I think he may get squeezed to the inside. Yes, he does. F1 Scott beautifully around the outside. Textbook stuff to take the lead of this race.
Yeah, academic from F1 Scott, and it was actually very intelligently crafted from him. Just waited at the Parabolica. He knew how powerful the slipstream was, gave him that opportunity into the first chicane, otherwise would have left himself vulnerable. So it's all about, it's not just about how you make the move, it's also when you make the move. It's being constantly calculated and composed here in Formula 2. That's the way forward as we're on board with Luke Howick in hot pursuit of Blackmere. F1 Scott creating daylight between himself and the man in P2. DRS, of course, enabled on this lap. Patience is a virtue, and out of Lesmo 2. Rear wing flap is open, hurtling down towards the Ascari chicane underneath the bridge. And you would think Luke Howick has it easily completed, and he absolutely does, into P2.
He's now got Hayden Gullis to deal with as well, Blackmere, and that's never someone we want to see in your rear view mirrors because there could be a little bit of contact at play. Moving over to the right-hand side, as he did on the previous lap, but I think Hayden's just got the run coming out of the Scar and down towards Parabolica. It'll be ART onto the podium. Hayden should get this move done, and Will Pond will be next to start, sniffing at the heels of Blackmere. The pole sitter, well, he's sniffing at the heels already because he's trying to go around the outside of the Parabolica. Got brilliant traction around there, and I think he's going to nab 4th place from Blackmere, is he? Not going to have the exit in the Trident, and I think that is Pond and in the Road and Cullen up into 4th place. He's got a couple of cars to deal with behind. Dragonflies trying to soar towards the podium positions. F1 Scott still leading the race. Remember, he's never picked up a win in F2 Creator Series. This is his best opportunity. Plethora of cars. Hayden Gullis is so late on the brakes. He clatters into Luke Howick into the first chicane. He's going to lose a whole host of places, getting caught up in this massive gaggle of cars, which contains the 2 championship protagonists. Be careful, lads. You don't want to take them out. Dark Viper getting involved. Same with Lolin Ober, who is at the back of this group.
As you sow shall you reap. Hayden Gullis tried that dive down the inside, but it was just too optimistic, and he paid the price for it. Dragonflies up into P4. The 2 championship protagonists have made good hay. We said we shouldn't really be surprised if they do make hay in this race because of how chaotic things can become. And look at them, 6th and 8th respectively, Dark Viper and Lolin Ober. Hayden Gullis beginning to feel the pressure, trying to soak up the pressure from Dark Viper. A little bit of a wiggle and a wobble out of Lesmo 2. And now Dark Viper will have the ascendancy with DRS. Hayden Gullis has it as well. Will try and use that slipstream to help him defend as Dragonflies moves up into P3. Hayden Gullis shoulders out Dark Viper onto the curb, retains P5 for the time being, and now could have the run on Pondon towards Parabolica.
Yeah, Hayden putting the pressure on Pond, and Dark Viper still putting the pressure on Hayden as they are going to go 3 wide down into the final corner of Parabolica. 2 drivers sat right underneath the rear wing of all 3 of them. Hayden's going to win out with the inside line. Dark Viper maybe giving the cold shoulder as he runs out of road and falls all the way to the back of this group. Disaster for the championship contender as his main protagonist now finds himself ahead of him, and he could be picking up another couple of places. The Pramer driving in his home race, trying to challenge Kryzix, who's in a rich vein of form. Hayden Gullis has shown to be a little bit of an accident waiting to happen so far in this race, certainly not making making hay while the sun shines. It's Dragonflies in third. It's Pondon around the outside to take fourth. Kryzik's getting involved as he battles hard with his teammate and pushes him down into sixth.
Yeah, F1 Scott and Luke Howick getting very close as well. Well, that is happening. Luke Howick right within DRS range. On board with Luke Howick, pursuing his prey. He is the Predator. A massive lock-up into La Rogia. Probably wasn't part of the script, though. Well, Dragonfly's in P3, just about to break out of DRS. In fact, he does break out of DRS. Of Pondon, Kryzik's Hayden Gullis. Lolin Ober's extremely close to trying something on Hayden Gullis, nothing doing there. And Dark Viper actually looked to have a switch initially into Lesmo 2, but the run there is so short. You can't afford, if you don't have that full confidence, then you can't take that risk. And any week to make risks, these two cannot afford to do so with such fine margins at play.
Going to be fascinating to see how they play this. Lolin Ober a little bit slow through the second part of Ascari. Dark Viper seizes his opportunity. Can't quite get that Van Amersfoort car alongside. Will Slipstream train him down towards the final corner. Hayden Gullis still right in front of Lolin Ober in the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. Kryzik trying to make a move on Pondon as well. F1 Scott and Luke Hack very close out in front as well. Look at this. 5-car train in the battle for 4th down into 8th place. The final points paying positions in this sprint afternoon. I think Kryzik is going to make a move to get 4th away from the Rodin kind of Pondon. We could be potentially, I mean, think about this. 5 wide, anybody down into the first chicane? It's very, very possible. Lolin Ober and Dark Viper got to keep your nose clean. It's Hayden challenging Kryzik's down into the Brettophilia chicane. Lolin Ober in the Prema pulls move on Pondon, who falls from 4th, potentially down into 8th or 7th there, but there was a bit of contact and a bit of bumping and grinding as we came out of the chicane, and somehow we're pretty much, I think we are in exactly the same order we were as we came onto the straight. How the hell has that happened, lads?
Crucially, they kept it all in one piece as well. Huge lock-up for F1 Scott, I think. No, it was Luke Howick, my apologies, has just taken the lead of the race. We have a new leader in the sprint, in the Dams car. Luke Howick is on the charge. F1 Scott won't give this up. You absolutely know he won't. But all the while these two are scrapping it out, Dragonflies is sniffing blood in the water. Meanwhile, this train of cars, goodness gracious me, can't keep their hands off each other. And Pondon with DRS, Hayden Gullis, the absolute worst place to be is at the front of that train. Pondon round the outside could turn into Kryzik's round the outside. Hayden Gullis robustly cutting through that first apex, and it opens up the door for Lolin Ober. Side by side, Dale gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, but it's side by side all the way down, not quite, to Alboreto corner, Parabolica, whatever you want to call it. It remains historic all the same. Smoke screens being deployed as we head now onto what I believe is lap number 7 of this sprint race.
Squeaky bum time for Lolin Ober going through Ascari. I thought he was going to take too much of that curb and get spat into the Armco on the left-hand side. We're going to see positions changing hands once again. Hayden Gullis and Pondon continue to get stuck into each other. Lolin Ober thinking now's go time, trying to make up a couple of places. That's very close. Round almost Kryzik's, but he's actually saved by the Prema of Lolin Ober, who taps him back into the right direction, who's now dueling with the Rodin Khan of Pondon. Dark Viper still at the back of this queue, unable to make the progress that he would desire, but they are 2 seconds clear of Dale, so points at the moment, barring any major whoopsies, are of a certainty.
Absolutely, and I'm looking at all of this. Lolin Ober's going to be, well, he's going to be feeling the optimism overlord here, because he's got a car, crucially, between himself and Dark Viper, although for how long, because down the inside comes Dark Viper at Lesmo 1, side by side. A bit of a slide, though, on the way out. They're going neck and neck in towards Lesmo 2. Shouldered out towards the curb is Pondon, but they've lost so much time to the cars ahead. And it means, well, they just about both get DRS, but they've got to keep it together now. They can't afford, especially in Dark Viper's case, to lose touch with the cars ahead, where things are becoming a bit more disjointed. Dark Viper remains ahead. He's got to have the Ascari of his life to keep within DRS, although let's not forget, it can be very easy to regain that DRS. Further down the field, by the way, Adam Sanderson's had issues, as has Zach RC, Dan Moran also, and F1 Alex, 14th and 15th for the two fighting for 3rd in the championship. Kryzik's in the hot seat for that one, and the seat might even become even hotter, which is a problem because he's about to make a move. Never mind, make that F1 Scott. He's coming back for his crown at the Temple of Speed. He sits on the throne of the sprint race. P1 for F1 Scott in the PHM car. But with how powerful the DRS is, how long will that last for?
Got to be careful through the curve of Grande, though, because Luke Howard all over the back of him. F1's got yet to win a race. He's picked up 7 podiums. Is this his opportunity to get a first F2 Creator Series victory? Down into the second chicane we go. Luke Howard is not quite far enough alongside to try and pull an audacious move around the outside and nab the lead back from F1 Scott. Both of these drivers sweating. Podium sitters in F2 previously, as we're going to be 3 wide up towards the first of the Lesmo corners. It's Lolin Ober up the inside. That's 5th place. Crucial move for the driver chasing Dark Viper in the championship, and he gets ahead of Hayden Gullis. He's put a car between himself and his main rival, and he's going to get a nice sniff of DRS down towards Ascari to potentially pick up 4th place ahead of characters. Thank you very much. I'm going to take that back. F1's got relegated back down into 2nd place. This is going to continue until lap number 11. You would imagine these two fighting hammer and tong for the victory.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there for a second, but look at that. F1 Scott now back down into P2. These two basically just hoisting themselves along with DRS, and that's exactly what they need to do. Playing it, like I say, very smartly, albeit at La Roja it almost got very frosty for the time being. But that ice thawed very quickly, and F1 Scott, with a calm, composed and calculated DRS move, down the main straight, back into P1 of this sprint race with only a few fleeting laps to go, as we see Lolin Ober going for the move on Kryzix, and before they even make the first chicane, he's through into P4 with now 2 cars between himself and Dark Viper.
Driver in red, putting red faces on his opponents at the moment as he sides his way through the field and is right behind Dragonflies as well. The lead, surely it's not going to change hands again. This must be the most battles for the lead and most overtakes for the lead we've seen in an F2 Creator Series race. F1 Scott, like he did on the previous lap, Deja Vu, holds on to it into the 2nd chicane. But, as we saw on the previous lap, that run down into Ascari is going to be vulnerable once again.
Crucial moments left in this sprint race. The two at the front in a class of their own. Lolin Ober's past Dragonflies, meanwhile. Make that 3 cars in the sandwich of championship protagonists. It's getting very meaty, isn't it? As Luke Howick moves past F1 Scott again to take the lead of this sprint race. Kryzix up into P4. And look at that. We said how much the fighting might hurt and bring the fury of the cars behind. Well, guess what? We're back to that 5-car DRS train. And suddenly, Lolin Ober's P3 isn't looking as safe and secure as it was before. This could get very tasty as we head into the Parabolica. Just 2 tours of the Italian Grand Prix sprint race to go in Formula 2. And it could prove to be a crucial 2 laps in context for the momentum in this weekend.
Lolin Ober's in the worst possible position. Here's the battle for the lead once again. It's Deja Vu, clearly, as F1 Scott is back into the lead of this race. But we've got to look behind. Lolin Ober loses 1 place to Kryzix. Can Dark Viper finally get involved? We've got Dragonflies getting in there as well. Lolin Ober's going to be at the back of this pack. He started it in 3rd, sorry. Now he's being pushed wide, nearly into the gravel by his main championship rival, Dark Viper, getting his elbows out as Dragonflies picks up a penalty. That'll give everyone in this group a free position if they finish behind him. Dark Viper is now got his championship protagonist right in his line of sight.
I don't blame you for being tongue-twisted, because all of us are getting tongue-tied watching a tremendous sprint race like this. Eminem's going to be out of a career after we're done with this one. But anyway, through Lesmo 1 they go, 5 astern. Well, honestly, it feels like this train's been up and over the mountain several times, but now Hayden Gullis is at the forefront of it. Once again, not the prime position, as F1 Alex is the man on a charge, setting fastest laps, albeit half a minute behind the next closest competitor, as Dragonflies is moving up into P3, Kryzix into P4. Like I say, the absolute worst place you want to be is at the front of that DRS train, and now it's Dragonflies that might have to feel the woe and pain of that particular endeavour.
Lolin Ober was a little bit slow through Ascari, and he's under pressure from his main rival coming on to the final lap of this race. 2 separate battles going on, 1 for the race victory. 2 drivers that have never won in the Creator Series before, battling it out tooth and nail as we come on to the final lap and cut the beam. F1 Scott has it at the moment with the helping hand of DRS. Luke Howick is going to assume the race lead down into the first chicane. But what order are the drivers behind going to be in? The 2 ARTs move forward as Dragonflies is relegated down to 5th, down to 6th. Dark Viper conservative around the outside. Maybe a bit of contact between himself and the Prema in front. Big slide for Lolin Ober. Dragonflies losing out to Dark Viper critically. Big overtake overtake there for Dark Viper on the outside. The two ARTs going to potentially enact civil war coming down into the second chicane because Kryzix and Hayden Gullis both are going to want this podium, but Kryzix has got more on the line, fighting for a potential third place in the championship. Best of the rest doesn't think about a lunge into the chicane as the smoke screen is deployed by Hayden Gullis. Maybe that's his best tactic of holding on to this podium with the remaining 40 seconds or so of this race.
Well, like you say, being at the front of the train is not the most ideal, and going wide at Lesmo 1 also isn't very ideal. Gives Kryzix and co the opportunity. It's pain for Dragonflies, who lost 4 positions in the space of a straight, and now it's Hayden Gullis that will be feeling the woe and Miss May, as through goes Kryzix, lolling Ober up into P4. Crucial stuff for him as we head onto the penultimate straight of the sprint race. It looks like Luke Howick is going to hold this until the last, but behind is where it could get spicy. Just one corner to go for all of these drivers. Through Parabolica, go the front two. It's going to be a drag race to the line. It looks like Luke Howick might have it as a slide. I think that's Hayden Gullis with a slide. Luke Howick takes a sensational sprint victory. F1 Scott P2. And honestly, pick the numbers out of a hat. You wouldn't have known it until they crossed the line. Kryzix P3, Lolinoba P4. Hayden Gullis does just hold on to P5. Dark Viper in 6th. In terms of the sprint race results, Lolinoba's up 1, Dark Viper on the nil, but the big points come tomorrow.
Huge move that from Lolinoba, getting ahead of Hayden Gullis. It was incredibly brave down into Ascari, but it was a critical overtake because we go into the feature race and it is pretty much parity between our two drivers. It is going to be fascinating. The fastest lap, neither driver got it in the sprint race. That's going to be crucial as well. But Luke Howick is a winner in Formula 2. It's his first victory. It's a sprint race. F1 Scott, commiserations. It's an 8th podium finish. He's been the bridesmaid again, coming home in 2nd. But a brilliant, brilliant driver. Kryzix from the back of the grid also picks up yet another Creator Series podium. And he is looking very, very good to get that 3rd place and best of the rest in the championship.
Couldn't agree more. He's put himself in the pound seat. The golden goose has been, well, very favoursome towards him. And F1 Scott, my heart does break for him, bless him. He's been so close so many times, but it just hasn't materialised for the poor man. Kryzix, who are on board with P3, honestly, commendable drive, more than commendable actually. Well done to all those 5 drivers in that train in particular, because that, at any one point, there could have been a carbon fibre confetti shower, it could have been chaos, but they all kept it together. It was robust, it was rapturous, it was lovely racing in Formula 2.
Very, very exciting stuff. And it means that going into the feature race, the championship gap is now 2 points. Dark Viper in the ascendancy, 232 to Lolinoba's 230. This is going to be very, very interesting. It's a winner-takes-all affair, to be fair. Whoever wins the race will pick up the championship. We'll just go through the order very quickly. Luke Howick and F1 Scott we spoke about. Kryzix, brilliant podium. Lolinoba, critical pass on Hayden Gullis on the final lap of the race. Dark Viper in 6th. Dragonflies returns after 3 weeks out to pick up a couple of points. And Pondon getting 8th place there to add 1 more to his tally. Mr. Dale just missing out on his return. Difficult races for Gwatz. This is the first time that since he's been back, he's failed to score so far. Adam Sanderson and F1 Alex once again struggling and not picking up any points, which is music to the ears of Kryzix, who moves further ahead. He is now in 3rd in the standings, 3 points clear of Adam Sanderson.
All to play for. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I was going to say I could have a lie down, but then I just remembered we've got a feature race as well, haven't we? I can't have a lie down if I tried. But if that's just the taster, if that's the appetizer, I don't think we're ready for the main course that Monza is about to spruce up, because that was rather unbelievable racing. I've got to admit. Well, top job from everybody, actually. That was enthralling stuff. But like you say, winner takes all. Winner takes all. I'm looking forward to it. You certainly should be too, because goodness me, have we got a fight on our hands. Just 2 points in it.
Gloves are well and truly off. We saw it. I think Dark Viper was maybe a little bit conservative. Obviously, it hasn't cost him his championship lead yet. Lolinoba has made a little bit of an inroad, though, and that will just be sat at the back of Dark Viper's mind thinking, I could have been a bit more aggressive. I missed out on 5th place by, what was it? I think it was half a tenth to Hayden, who had that incredible slide out of the Parabolica. Big, big brown pants moment for Hayden as he did just about hold on to 5th place in the end. But yeah, is that the moment we're going to come back to at the end of this race thinking, he missed it by half a tenth, Dark Viper. Is that going to be the crucial moment? We'll have to wait and see how close it is in the feature race. And I think we're all very buoyant of the fact that it was very, very competitive as well. This one-shot qualifying session could be very, very competitive. We could have a lot of drivers within not a lot of time.
You're absolutely right. And the good thing is, with the qualifying, if you haven't had such a great sprint race, or perhaps mentally it's in the back of your mind, you have that opportunity to reset. It is one shot. It's going to be touch and go. You've got to be on it. Absolutely on it. It's the one chance you get. And if you're in that championship fight, if you invalidate your lap, I'm not saying it's curtains, but it's a big, big fight on your hands, let me tell you. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be absolutely fun. Dark Viper still has that I'm in the lead mindset. Lolinover, still the hunter in the hunting battle. And it'll be interesting also now to see if they take that same approach into the feature race.
Yeah, and the pole position stats are interesting as well. They're fairly evenly matched. Lolinover with 5 poles this season. Dark Viper with 3. They've both been very competitive. We've seen pole positions from other drivers as well. I'm hoping this is going to be really, really close. And I wonder who's going to be the main antagonist in this scenario we're going to see. Gloves are off. We're going to have a couple of drivers that are here to gate crash the championship battle. I wonder who they're going to be. Quick mention on a couple of drivers that were disappointed with the sprint race. Adam Sanderson and F1 Alex. They'll be upset. They'll be disappointed. Got a chance to go again. Gwatz as well, unable to replicate the form we saw in the sprint last time we raced here. He was outside the top 10. But another chance to go again for those guys. They've got to pick themselves up because with everything going on, the main championship protagonist potentially being a bit cautious, there is an opportunity to pick up a win.
Like you say, the difference between winning the championship and possibly not could have been that potential parabolic apparel moment for Dark Viper. And that's a mouthful. Don't try saying that 10 times fast. It's gonna be an enthralling piece of racing, I'm telling you. And also, there could be safety cars. We didn't see many last week. In fact, we had just that one virtual safety car. Whereas when I was last on the F2 broadcast in Australia, I think there were 4 or 5 safety cars. So you never really know what you're getting yourself into with Formula 2. And I think that's the beauty of it in some way. Speaking of gate crashing, I don't know, could see a Dragonflies up there. We know Dragonflies has been pretty quick and pretty consistent. We know that Kryzix has been in the ascendancy. That those 2 feature race wins, could he make it a 3rd? We have all the those are all the questions. We'll have all the answers pretty soon.
Yeah, Kryzix is the one for me. Finishing the season with a flourish. I think he could be a real problem, as we saw in the sprint race for Dark Viper and for Lolinover. Because you could very easily argue that on recent form, he is the quickest driver on the field.
You can indeed. And, well, like you say, it all plays into that mental game. It all plays into the psychological warfare of this championship finale. And this is the final curtain call for each of these drivers for this season. Their first mission now is to get that qualifying lap bang on, because that'll just be another piece in the psychological warfare, another piece of positivity. But the big points are in the feature race. Like we say, that's where it matters most, and that's where they've got to get it the most right. So qualifying well is one thing, racing well is a whole different other kettle of fish.
I think it would only be right at this stage that we throw a couple of predictions out there, and we can potentially make ourselves look like complete and utter fools. Carl, I want you to pick a name out. Dark Viper, Lolinover, who's going to take it?
Oh, it's tough. It's really tough. Like I say, it's all a mental game, though. Lolinover obviously was, in my opinion, just that little bit more aggressive in the sprint race. And because he's behind, he's in theory got less to lose. But if he qualifies well, it all switches. So you just don't know. I'm going to say, right here, right now, I think Lolinover is going to be champion.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Dark Viper drove that sprint race as if he had a lot to lose. Which, now that the gap's only 2 points, maybe we'll see that change, because I think pretty much that's only 1 position. We could have a situation where they're tied, which Lolinover, courtesy of the absolute stack of feature race wins that he picked up in the first stint that he had in F2, where he picked up 5 feature race wins in the first 7 races. 5 on the spin, in fact. That's going to be horrific for Dark Viper if he does end up losing it on countback.
It's crazy consistency, isn't it? But Lolinoba, I mean, traditionally in many series, you create your own luck, and Lolinoba really has done just that if it does indeed come down to that countback because of how supremely strong he was at the beginning of the season. He's put himself right in contention as we are now. That's right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a visualization of just how close it is. Actually, while we're playing a prediction game, Tom, let's play the who's going to come out on third place game. Who do you think?
I think that's a little bit easier, I must admit. I think Kryzik's in brilliant form, back-to-back wins, Abu Dhabi and Zandvoort last week. I think he's probably going to win the feature race. I'm going to put my neck on the line there. I think he will win the feature race, comfortably come home in third. And as much as I really like the two of them, Adam Sanson and F1 Alex, you can't rely on them to put in a performance at the moment. You can rely on them to maybe have the peaks that we've seen, and they're picking up consistent points, but there's not the standout performances that we saw. Adam Sanson won the first sprint race of the season. He's picked up a lot of podiums in sprint and feature races so far. The same with F1 Alex, but that dip is a concern. Kryzik's is on the up. I think he's going to win the feature race and make life a little bit uncomfortable for Dark Viper and for Lolinoba.
I couldn't agree more. The huge snowball effect for Kryzik's is everything he needs and more. I'll be completely honest, I agree with you. I think Kryzik's is, barring any absolute mares that he has, I think Kryzik's is going to do it. I'll also say Dragonfly's not mathematically out of it. He is, albeit 22 points behind, so it would have to take a minor miracle for him to usurp all three drivers ahead of him. But you never know, stranger things have happened, but I'm going to also agree with you. I'm going to say Kryzik's has probably got it in the bag. Like you said, you can rely on him to deliver at the moment.
Get to the 100-point mark. Pondon also picked up a point in the sprint race as well. He could jump a whole load of drivers, to be fair. And I'm looking down in 19th, and somehow Gareth Allen snuck his way into the top 20 there. I don't know how that's gone on, but yeah, Dan Moran in 20th there and 21, and a couple of drivers below them as well. And obviously we've got the reserves that don't count in the overall standings. We are very, very close to getting underway for a one-shot qualifying session. Who do you want to ride on board with, Carl?
You know what? Let's pick a championship protagonist to start off with.
Pressure on.
Let's put the pressure on, exactly. I think let's put it on. Let's put it on to the let's put it on to I think Mr. Lolinoba. Let's follow the hunter. I think that will be slight changing of the guard on that particular instance. But yeah, let's follow the hunter on this particular lap of the Temple of Speed. I feel like it's very easy to put pressure on the man who's already been under insurmountable pressure already in the sprint race. Let's see what qualifying has in store then, I think. Let's ride on board with Lolinoba. See what he's got to offer.
In his backyard. The home hero, a huge opportunity going into one-shot qualifying, where in his first stint, before he missed those 4 weeks, he was a class above the rest of the field. We're going to watch Lolinoba in the Prema and see how he manages to get on.
Yeah, it's going to be a scramble to find him on the leaderboard because of how quickly it switches around, but let's go for a qualifying lap around the Temple of Speed. Hayden Gullis is in provisional pole, albeit it's only after a brief moment of straight. Well, that's quite unbelievable personally, but here we are with Lolinoba locking up into the first chicane, but carrying it nice and cleanly through the first two apexes. His crucial goal here really is, one, qualify as close to the front as he can, but also beat Dark Viper, who currently is lollygagging down in P9.
Well, it was almost very much worse than that. Still in P9, dropped down to 10th briefly, and Lolinoba leads the way. Purple Sector 1, Kryzik's is right in there. Hayden Gullis, is this timing screen correct? Oh, there we go. He's dropping down a couple of places. Arsenio is actually the lead Van Alstorm. Dark Viper's had a stinker somewhere. He's down with Gwatz, who's also struggling on this one-shot qualifying lap as well, trying to recover the best he possibly can. But Dark Viper's under huge pressure here.
The pressure on his shoulders, such a huge strain for Dark Viper. Lolinoba on the opposite end of that scale. He's absolutely flying. Purple Sector 1, Purple Sector 2 on purple banded tyres. It's a purple merchant at the front of the field. Hayden Gullis in P2, though, in hot pursuit. Dale's retired. That's devastation for Dale, but through towards the Parabolica. One corner to go. And is he saving his best until the very last? We've already seen a lot of his best already, but taking the line of least resistance across the line in his backyard, Lolin Ober on pole position, and it is a statement. Good grief, that is a statement and a half. Half a second clear of his next closest competitor, Hayden Gullis. Fryzik's in third, F1 Scott in fourth, Adam Sanderson and F1 Alex rectifying their sprint race damage, but crucially, Lolin Ober in P1, Dark Viper P8.
It's not even close, is it? That's going to be a massive punch in the solar plexus for Dark Viper. He's a second slower than his main championship rival, and he's starting 7 places further back. That is a swing that I don't think either of us were expecting, to be honest, going into this. Lolin Ober putting his foot down on a track that he knows incredibly well, and he is nearly half a second clear. The only driver in the 129s, and nobody else is anywhere near. ART 2-3 with F1 Scott continuing the form we saw from the sprint race in 4th. Luke Halleck also doing well in 7th. 8 drivers within a second. Dark Viper the last of those, and I think that was pretty much a case of damage limitation, to be honest, because he was down as low as, I think he was 12th or 13th at one point halfway around the lap through the Lesmos.
Yeah, absolutely. It couldn't have gone worse for him in the first part of the lap. Luckily, gathered it up with an arm full of chop. Has put himself in P8. It's not a complete disaster, but to be a second behind your championship rival, as if he didn't already have the sprint race result to contend with, he's got a second on his head to contend with as well, as we are in the pit lane for the main event, the feature race. One final throw of the dice to decide the championship. Just 2 points in it. Whew, it is going to be an absolute firecracker.
Yeah, and obviously, if it finishes as we are, which you can bet your bottom dollar it's not going to, with all the action that we've seen, it would be a crushing victory in the end for Lolin Ober. He's got a lot of margin for error because he's done the heavy work in that one-shot qualifying lap. And I saw before we got started, actually, he was doing a lot of one-shot quali practice. So putting a lot of effort into this. He recognises that getting pole position was critical. He can try and lead from the front, control the pace, stay out of the midfield carnage that Dark Viper critically is pretty much in the middle of. And we are getting ready to go for another formation lap. I've been pranked once again. I thought we turned it off.
We thought we were free of the formation laps, but apparently not. It's going to be interesting, like you say, it's all about Lolin Ober wanting that track position. He's got the control at the front of the field, and he's going to be out as long, providing he gets a good start, of course. He's going to be out of those skirmishes, those multiple car trains, just relieve himself of that pressure even more. Dark Viper is going to be right in the thick of things, at the heart of DRS training mayhem. We've already got disqualifications in the form of Watts and Jess Ball, who are going to have a trip to the Eskimos to determine how cold their tyres are. And Zach RC and Pondon are also gone. Deary me. Anyway, Lolin Ober then, with the ascendancy. He's the hunter. Could this be his moment at his home yard?
Well, he's got 6 moving barricades or moving chicanes between himself and Dark Viper. And that will be absolutely critical. Dark Viper, I mean, from this position, he's got to win the race. Lolin Ober half a second quicker over one lap. You imagine that would translate pretty well into race pace as well. He's going to need a safety car, maybe something different on strategy. Strategy's going to be key because remember, we've got the super soft tyres along with the medium, the yellow stripe mediums that you can see there. So this is going to be really interesting. What tyres are people starting on? Those tyres are 2 compounds faster or softer as well. So those purple stripe tyres, are going to be absolutely rapid, but they're going to burn up in about 5 seconds.
It will be interesting, absolutely. Dark Viper, though, like you say, with those tyres, they've got to use them as effectively as possible. Dark Viper in that position where he has no choice but to try and move forwards. Well, he did have a choice, truth be told, but to just be on that faster compound and try and cut through the field like a knife through butter. That's the mission. We'll see if he can pull it off. What's also interesting is, like you say, it probably is whoever finishes ahead of the other, provided it's not the lower points they're aiming for from about 10th to 15th. If it's well within that top 10, it is truly whoever finishes ahead of the other will be the champion. There's millimetric margins that will decide this championship. They line up on the grid. Get ready, everyone. This is going to be a spicy one.
Home hero on pole. Underdog at this stage now. Dark Viper from 8th. We've had a lot of disqualifications, but the lights are coming on. For the final time in Season 3 of Formula 2 Creator Series, we are underway, and it's an even Steven start for the leading duo. In fact, Hayden Gullis has gone off like an absolute tracer bullet into the lead of this race. Volinova's going to tuck into the 6th string. What is Dark Viper doing? He's caught up in a little bit of a pack there, right over to the right-hand side. Lolinova trying to get the lead back. Down into turn number 1 we go, and it is the Prema that takes the lead of the race. Dark Viper caught out on the outside. I thought that was him spinning there. Heart in mouth moment. It was actually Luke Howitt, winner of the sprint race, tumbling through the field as he made contact and got caught up over the sausage curve there. Dark Viper, excellent start. Needed to make some progress, has done, from 8th to 6th, but he's got F1 Alex and his teammate hustling him for position down into the 2nd chicane. Lolinova doing what he needed to do. He maintains the lead of the race.
Yeah, good start from Dark Viper. Equally good, absolutely fantastic work from Lolinova. Lost out on the start, Hayden Gullis, with an absolutely sumptuous start off the blocks. But Lolinova didn't let it get to his head, kept his cool, and then had the confidence on the brakes with the uncertainty of the run down into turn 1 to just get down the inside, and ART looked like they could be going into combat. Good starts from both championship protagonists here, but we'll see how these trains develop and whether they can stay within that DRS range. A couple of laps until it's enabled, but if Hayden Gullis can stay in that DRS, that'll do Dark Viper's championship hopes a world of good.
Yeah, and the leading duo as well, going to be under a bit of pressure because there's a group of cars behind on those purple striped super soft tyres. One of which is F1 Scott, who's trying to make progress on Kryzik down into the parabolic. Adam Sanson in the purple Trident, also on the purple striped tyres. He's now going to try and make a move on F1 Scott. These two have come to blows in the past. It's going to be interesting to see how they battle this down as we cut the beam, start the 2nd lap of the race. And Hayden Gullis just under half a second off the back of Lolinova, who obviously picks up the fastest lap. Kryzik's trying to defend from 2 drivers on much quicker tyres, but it's Adam Sanson making the move, trying to make amends for a couple of poor races recently. Down the inside we go into turn number 1. F1 Scott's going to hang it around the outside. Very, very nicely indeed. Bit of a wobble as well for Adam Sanson, and we're going to remain in the positions we were, retaining the status quo. Scott in 4th, head of Adam Sanson.
Bit of a mistake from Lolinova coming out of the 1st chicane. Just went a bit too wide, a bit too overzealous into that 2nd corner, and Hayden Gullis was all over his diffuser trying to manufacture his own avenue. As down the inside robustly goes Adam Sanderson. Dark Viper and Arsenault are through as well, but through the gravel went Dark Viper. He's gone from gaining 2 positions to then subsequently losing 2 positions. The pendulum so viciously swinging the opposite way to how he would desire it. Demoted to P7, and Lolinova with daylight between him, well, like you say now, another 5 moving chicanes between himself and the championship challenger, although Hayden Gullis is keeping him very honest.
All his hard work undone there, dropping back down into 7th place. He's got Dragonflies and Mr. Dale and Gwatz with F1 Alex in there also. 4 very quick drivers right underneath his rear wing. Arsena, you would imagine the other Van Asphalt will get out of the way and try and help his teammate, but look at this, Hayden Gullis and Kryzik shadowing every move from Lolinova. Down into the final corner we go, and we wonder, are we going to see a change in hand for the lead? Will the ARTs work together? They haven't historically done it, as Dark Viper moves up into 6th place, crucial pass there, trying to recover from the damage that we saw a couple of moments ago. Fastest lap for Kryzik's in 3rd. Are we going to see that top 3 in reverse order by the time we get to the 1st chicane? Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? It's Hayden pulling out to the inside. Lolinova going to have to try and swing it around the outside. Hayden not quite close enough to move an audacious overtake up the inside, and will remain in 2nd place as teammate. Right underneath the rear wing as well. Was that Dark Viper going a little bit wobbly on the exit? No, I think it was F1 Scott.
Yeah, it looks like it, dropping a whole host of time to the cars ahead. Well, was well within a second. Now Dragonflies is the man on the move, but Hayden Gullis practically pushing Lolinova towards La Rogia chicane as they now cut through that one and then hurtle towards Lesmo 1. This is the trains we were talking about, though. 6 cars now involved. Hayden Gullis has done what he needs to do. As down the inside, F1 Alex thought about it on F1 Scott. Good grief, that was mightily close. In the end, not going for that particular move. But now 6 cars worth of DRS train, of course, enabled on this lap. Head over to Ascari. The question is about to be answered. Will it be reverse top 3 order? No, Lolinova has done enough for the time being.
Dark Viper all over the back of his teammate, pushing him through a sky. We've got some very early penalties for F1 Scott and F1 Alex. That could prove crucial, pushing them out of main points contention. Dark Viper's going to make this move to the left-hand side of the circuit to try and battle away with his teammate. No team orders here between the 2 Van Asphalt cars, and Dark Viper doesn't quite have the momentum to pull alongside coming into the Parabolica, but he does brake later. Will he get run out of road on the outside by his teammate? Escorted to the edge of the circuit. No. Good racing room left by Arsena, and this is going to be a drag race up towards the 1st chicane. Leading trio of Lolinova and the 2 ARTs. Dark Viper with the fastest lap of the race. So there is pace in that Van Amersfoort car. Kryzik's pushing his team, almost some bump drafting going on. Is he going to send it up the inside? Hayden Gullis leads the Grand Prix down into the first chicane. Lolinova's going to swing it around the outside, try and hold on. There is contact there, and we certainly saw some debris fired up. Hayden Gullis now leads the race. Is there damage for either of those drivers, though?
Well, it was the carbon fibre confetti there. It looks like externally, at least, Lolinova's damage is fine. Emotionally, though, on his home turf, it's probably not the case, although trying to immediately respond, feinting a move to the inside, trying as he might to pressure into a mistake. It's Dark... That's Arsenault. Sorry, my apologies. I was about to say it's Dark Viper. Good news for him. He's still in P5. Terrible news for the second Van Amersfoort car, taking a trip through the sandbox. But Lolinova now at the front will have that DRS. Dark Viper, though, another car closer to his championship rival. But DRS, once again, is demonically fast towards the Ascari chicane. It's going to be another academic move past Hayden Gullis. The lead switches hands once again, and it's the Prema of Lolinova.
And suddenly this has opened up for Dark Viper with that contact, or I'm not sure what it was with Arsene. Maybe he got way too late on the brakes and skated across the grass for the second time this afternoon or this evening, wherever you're watching this. He's now under no pressure from behind, and he's up into 5th place. We've got moves behind with one of the Campos cars. I think that's Dale shaping up for a pass on Dragonflies down into the Parabolica, just about getting that Campos alongside. The reigning champ, he's going to be deposed in about half an hour's time, but he's trying to put on a show. F1 Scott getting jiggy with it on the exit of the Parabolica. We've got a car in the pits. I think that is F1 Alex deciding to get rid of those tyres that he started on. Dale up into 6th place. Weaving to try and hold position. Hayden Gullis and Lolinova continuing their scrap. It's Dark Viper sending out the inside of Adam Sanderson into the first chicane, though. He was very late, almost a day late and $1 short. Staying behind, contact again. Carbon fibre confetti, as you said previously. Adam Sanderson nearly dropping out of DRS range as well. Dark Viper pushing incredibly hard to get these overtakes done.
Well, he knows that Adam Sanderson's losing buckets of time, and being stuck behind him is not going to help that cause. He just needs to be within the DRS of those first 3 cars, but strategy still can play a big factor here. F1 Alex obviously already beat in, whether it's for damage or whether it's just to get off those softer tyres, which will have been melted at this particular point. But no, 1.4 seconds Adam Sanderson is behind those 3 cars. Dark Viper, again, just being disjointed here. Lolinova would be more than happy to sit in these 3 cars and just take it easy, not try and chop and change for position too much. It's all about getting to the end here and just staying ahead of your championship rival, having that ascendancy as they slide their way through Ascari, especially on those soft tyres, almost reaching their boiling point as Lolinova pulls out of the slipstream once again. Kryzik's duly follows him. But we'll see strategy come into play very soon, I would imagine. When do those softer tyre... Dark Viper's actually got past Adam Sanderson in all of that. We'll see when those softer tyre runners will pull the trigger.
Yeah, that move happened on the run down into the Sky, but the super soft tyres definitely struggling compared to the mediums, and Adam Sanderson bails. He's getting off those tyres. F1 Scott, criminal penalty for speeding in the pits. Lolinova trying to take the lead, but Kryzik's having none of it as Hayden Gullis is shuffled down into 3rd. Once again, we battle into the first chicane. Over the sausage curb to go with the ART of Kryzik. His teammate going to sleep past on the inside. I think Hayden Gullis may have just taken the lead back. Unbelievable stuff there. We're going to be side by side through the Curva Grande and up to the second Retafilio chicane. Is Lolinova going to brave it around the outside? We've seen contact here in the past. He's almost on the grass as Hayden Gullis gives him a bit of a shoulder barge on the run up to the apex of the corner. Swinging it around the outside. That's unbelievable bravery, and he's pulled it off, you know. The lead goes back to Lolinova, and that was brilliant.
What a move. What a move from Lolinova on the edge of my seat. I was holding my breath there, just saying, please don't make contact, fellas. But that was great racing from the pair of them. Lolinova, what a move. Hayden Gullis, well done for leaving the space, but they have invited, look who it is, Mr. Dark Viper. He's back in this little train, which is good news for him as, oh my goodness me, almost diving down the inside as Kryzik's not at all afraid to get his claws dug into the opposition. He's got that P3 ascendancy. He doesn't even need to be particularly overzealous with his moves. He's got it in the bag currently. But one wrong move, one piece of, well, critical contact could change everything in that particular scrap.
Dark Viper seems to be the only driver that can make these super soft tyres sing at the moment. Is he diving into the pits? We can't see the black and orange Van Amersfoort car, and it is. The blink has been had by Dark Viper, and he is in for the medium compound tyres. This is going to be crucial. Will he come out in traffic? The battle for the lead continues down into turn number 1. Hayden being the menace of all menaces for Lollenhober at the moment, because he's fighting for himself. He's got nothing to play for. Same with Kryzix, because that battle for third in the championship looks pretty much sewn up at the moment, with F1 Outs pitting early. Adam Sanderson was dropping off the back of them. Also, Dale is up into 4th. Jess Ball is up into 5th place as well. Excellent drive so far from her. Dark Viper's going to come out in a little bit of traffic, maybe just outside the top 10, potentially around where Adam Sanderson and F1 Scott are.
Commentators unite. Good job, Jess Ball. Fantastic stuff. Be interesting to see the well, like you say, Dark Viper's pulled that trigger, and now we'll see what kind of pace he has. Crucially for him, out ahead of Adam Sanderson, even with that undercut, and actually to get those super soft tyres towards that halfway mark of the race is crucial for him, because he kept pace with the leading trio, and now he's got those tyres, which are newer. Yes, they're the same compound, but the difference in terms of time that they've been used for is so monumental. He'll have a huge pace advantage for a little bit, but remember, when these three come into the pit lane, they'll have those super soft tyres for themselves. And, well, we're speaking about antagonists in terms of the championship. Well, the people in P2 and 3, Tom, I think we might have found them.
Yeah, we spoke about how was Hayden going a little bit wide through the Parabolica. Will we see the ARTs respond, or the race leader respond? It will be a long stint to go on the super soft to the end, and all of them electing stout. Watch out for Dale as well, slowly gaining on this trio out in front. The gap's just over 2.5 seconds. He could play a factor in the remaining second half of this Grand Prix. Lollenhober looks comfortable down into turn number 1. I think Kryzix is going to remain ahead of Hayden Gullis. Smoke screen deployed by all 3 drivers, and we do see Lollenhober lead from Kryzix and Hayden Gullis. But we spoke about it earlier. It's going to be the Sprint King versus the feature race. I think these 2 ART drivers are going to be the jokers in the pack.
Yeah, absolutely right. And like you say, credit to Dale. He's gone under the radar so far, but his pace has been phenomenal in that car. Good grief. I think it's a Campos. My eyesight doesn't elude me for 1 second. He's done an absolute blinder of a race so far, and he's keeping, even with the DRS games from the front 3, trying to horse and carriage themselves away from Dale. He's keeping within that 2.8 second margin, so unbelievable pace from him. Absolutely wonderful stuff. And, well, a bit of a lock-up through Lesmo too, but keeps it on the road. There's another speeding in the pit lane penalty for Gwatz, and he's actually retired from the session. That's the first one to fall foul to the DNF, and it is Gwatz, unfortunately. Lollenhober just holding the lead, because here comes Kryzix.
Got to be very, very careful. The 2 ARTs, one of them's going to get hung out to dry as well, remember, because they are teammates, and Hayden at the moment is going to have to do the extra lap on the older set of tyres. Kryzix very close as we come down into the Parabolica, the final corner of the race, and Kryzix not quite close enough to think about a move. Who is going to jump into the pits? They're going to be starting to think about it. Lollenhober's almost looks like he's tensed up a little bit. On the previous lap, he didn't trouble too many apexes, to be honest. He's under pressure as we cut the beam, start lap number 9. Kryzix, which way we go? Left or right? It's to the outside we go with the ART, and he's going to take the lead of this race very, very easily down into turn 1. Gets it done before the braking zone. Well, Hayden, think about a move. No, he almost runs into the back of the Prema, though. That could have been, well, catastrophic. Thought Lollenhober gets a slide on as well coming out of turn 2. Dale has decided to go for an undercut as well. He's jumped into the pits for what will be his set of super soft tyres. That's going to be interesting. Watch that space. The reigning champ going to lose his title very shortly, but putting on a show once again. He's dazzling on his F2 return.
Absolutely he is. Another person to pull the trigger. I was wondering who was going to pull the trigger on this lap, because of course the fuel is loading off the cars, it's getting lighter, less pressure being put on those super soft tyres, and we saw that Dark Viper at least was able to take those tyres, well, as far as lap number 7, so credit to him. He's in P4, and now just has the 3 cars ahead of him yet to make a pit stop in this race. Dale emerges in P9, few cars behind, but not too far away from Dark Viper, so the pace has been strong. But it is that question, the Sprint King and Kryzix. Well, he's down to P2, but please be our prediction prince in this little battle. We did predict him to win in the feature race. He's doing a good job so far, but as for now, succumbed. Well, the lead switched back over towards Lollenhober, but for how long?
Yeah, and Hayden's struggling as well, struggling to stay within the 1 second window. He could be hung out to dry here, because maybe Kryzix is thinking, try and get an undercut on Lollenhober. He's thinking about himself, trying to win the race. Both stay out. Will Hayden decide now's the time to come in? Yes, the ART, the second ART, is into the pits as Dan Moran picks up a 3-second corner cutting penalty. And deja vu from the previous lap. Through goes the ART of Kryzik, and Lolinoba's going to be pushed down to second place once again. Now, watch for Dark Viper. Where is he going to be? In comparison to Hayden Gullis, both drivers getting out of shape through two. It was Kryzik who went way too wide, maybe getting caught up on the curb. Lolinoba needing no invitation there. Please and thank yous. Through he goes and reassumes the race lead.
Yeah, Lolinoba's just been doing a bit of learning, a bit of homework at that first chicane. Went too hot quite a few times at that second part of things, the second stanza. Just learned to take it a bit easier, cut in, get that switchback on the narrow line. As out comes Hayden Gullis, through goes Dark Viper. Where's Adam Sanderson? He's nowhere near. So the undercut, possibly not as profound as we initially thought. Hayden Gullis just has 1.5 seconds on much softer and fresher tyres to boot to Dark Viper. Lolinoba and Kryzik, they surely have to pit at the end of this lap, otherwise they're going to lose a whole host of time.
What this does tell us, though, is it is more than likely Dark Viper will lead this race. And it's going to be up to Lolinoba to chase him down to win the championship. We're going to get a grandstand finish, hopefully, here in Monza, as the home favourite tries to become the third winner of the F2 Creator Series Championship. Kryzik, so still shadowing every move from Lolinoba, not giving him a moment's respite as we come down towards the parabolic. A bit of a lock-up on the front right, and surely these two are going to jump into the pits for what will be a 5-lap sprint on the super soft tyres, staying all the way over to the right-hand side of the track. And yes, they do jump into the pits. Will we see any penalties for speeding in the pits? Kryzik was trying a cheeky move around the outside there, trying to take the lead into the pits from Lolinoba. We've seen the likes of Alex Gillen do that in the F1 Creator Series, and now this is the moment of truth. Where's Dark Viper going to be, and where is Hayden Gullis going to be?
My heart was in my mouth there. Imagine saying you lost the championship because you sped in the pit lane. It's such an easy thing to do. Luckily, both Lolinoba and Kryzik, for the context of their race, haven't done it. Dark Viper through the parabolica, and now we find out where Lolinoba and Kryzik's emerge. Dark Viper will have to do the defensive drive of his life as out of the pits he goes, and Lolinoba will, as it looks like, slot into P2. Will Hayden Gullis go for a... But Dale's out! Oh, goodness me, Dale's out of this race. No need for a safety car, apparently. I think he might have pulled into the pit lane, which probably explains that one. But Lolinoba, crucially for him, ahead of Hayden Gullis on those softer tyres. It is championship leader versus championship chaser.
Target acquired. Lolinoba has got 5 laps, and all he has to do, easier said than done, of course, is overtake Dark Viper to win this championship. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
This could be brain in a jam jar time here because, well, I don't know if we've disconnected or whether we've had a big, big issue. Fingers crossed we haven't. But, well, managers, anybody? This is a big, big situation.
Well, we'll see who's on the podium first. Well, it's Dark Viper, but it doesn't mean diddly squat, to be honest. Well, like Tom said, it's brain in the jar moment. We have to now wait and see.
It's still going on. Unfortunately, everyone, we're probably going to miss the overtake for the lead, which was inevitable at that point. You unfortunately have to see our faces for the next 2 minutes or so, which probably isn't the nicest thing you'll have to witness. Yeah, we'll give everyone a bit of a wave there. Hello. Well, I feel a bit of an anti-climax, to be honest, because I don't think we're going to see what's going on.
This is nail-biting stuff for me, though, because I said Lolinoba was going to win the championship. And I won't even see if he's won the championship or made the move.
They're both going to be in a war.
That's one way.
Moment, guys.
One way to do it. It's the Schumacher way. No, well, young Schumacher way at least. But well, up until then, we had a great little race going on there. Softer tyres versus the medium tyres. Dark Viper with a defensive duty of his life to do. Lolinoba ready to lunch up his opponent. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that, but. Well, hopefully we get back to the action pronto.
I can report from looking at other people's streams while we get back in. Apologies, of course, that we're missing it. Lolinoba leads. Hayden Gullis in second, ahead of Kryzik. Dark Viper's been shuffled down into 4th place. So instead of us being brain in a jam jar time, it's now brain in a jam jar time for Dark Viper because he's coming up towards the last chance saloon now. He's got to destroy the doors because he's running out of laps here.
Quite right, goodness me. We've alluded to it so many times this weekend, but being at the front is absolutely where you don't want to be in this particular instance. It's the worst place to be. You're just gifting Slipstream, gifting DRS, saying here, oh, through you go, through you go. Another position, through you go. It's the worst feeling possible at the Italian Grand Prix in particular. But Oh, goodness me. Well, there's still twists in the tail to be had. Still plenty of time, but time that is crucially running out.
Absolutely. And the main positive is we didn't have a server crash, which was what I was fearing straight away. But there is battle currently going on. The two ARTs are getting stuck into each other. We're giving a slightly delayed report, and we're back. I think we are back, Coach.
Yes!
Into the session, yes, and Kryzik is out of DRS range. I was pretty close, actually, with what was going on. Dark Viper right underneath the rear wing of both the ARTs. He's got to be thinking, now's go time. He's running out of chances. 2.5 laps to go. Remains in 4th place. Kryzik's in 2nd.
There was ever a chance for Lolinova to get away from the 3 behind him. It's now. He has to ace every little apex through Lesmo 1 and 2. Just so he gets out of DRS range. He's doing what he needs to do at the moment. And I think through the detection point, he is indeed just outside of a second. Slipstream will still benefit Kryzik in the ART. But it's a lot better than it could have been for Lolinova. Now he has to have the Ascari of his life. Luke Howick with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. It's the penalty Grand Prix further down the field. Goodness me, through Ascari chicane. Kryzik has had a very good Ascari. It looks like, with the help of Slipstream, he will have DRS as we head on to lap number 14. Just 2 laps to go of the feature race.
Not over, folks. The feature race leads. The Sprint King in 4th. The 2 jokers of the pack in between, messing up the title aspirations for what is Dark Viper at the moment. But Kryzik does still have the DRS, as does Hayden, as does Dark Viper. And that Van Alsort, as we come on to the penultimate lap, has got to be thinking about making a move. This is critical now. If he's going to win this championship, he's got to get past Hayden Gullis now. But he's not close enough, is he? He's not going to risk a lunge into turn number 1, maybe hoping that the 2 ARTs can tag team the Prema in front, who gets a little bit out of shape through turn number 2, but we retain the status quo. Still Lolinova in prime position for the time being.
It's nail-biting. Luke Howick's moved past Pondon into P8 in the meantime as they head up towards the first chicane. All the big action up at the front, though. Kryzik's piling on the pressure to Lolinova. Dark Viper piling on the pressure to Hayden Gullis as it's a purple sector 1 for Kryzik. Again, basically sniffing the diffuser of the Prema car ahead. Lolinova on home soil has just got 1.5 tours of the Italian Grand Prix track to go, but he's got a very hungry shark in the form of Kryzik, ready to snap at his heels. DRS towards Ascari, not close enough for the time being, but all he has to do is bide his time.
Dark Viper no longer at the doors of the last chance saloon. He's now at the bar trying to work out what he can do in the remaining 90 seconds or so. He almost drops it on the exit of Ascari because he's pushing so hard. He knows that Hayden might be about to lose the DRS to his teammate in front. This could prove crucial. This could win Lolinova the championship. Dark Viper's onto the podium, but he's outside 1 second.
That could be it. That could be the nail in the championship coffin for Dark Viper as we head across the line now to start the final lap of the F2 sprint race, the final lap of the championship. And Kryzik is going for the move into turn 1 with the helping hand of DRS. It's an academic move. Hayden Gullis is back past Dark Viper. That's exactly what he doesn't need, and all of the hard work coming out of Ascari has been completely nullified. Less than 1 tour to go of the Italian Grand Prix, Tom, and Lolinova, providing he keeps it on the black stuff, is going to be champion.
Italian elation, British crisis. Dark Viper's losing even more time stuck behind Hayden Gullis as Blackbeard's been disqualified for not using the required tyre. Did he forget to change tyres and come into the pits? That's, well, an interesting error there. We've got half a lap to go. Lolinova still in prime position, sat right underneath the rear wing of Kryzik. Will he think about a move into Ascari, or will we just play it safe? We've got half a lap left. Only 3 corners remaining of this Formula 2 championship. Lolinova looks like he wants the victory. Kryzik is going defensive on the run down into the Ascari chicane, but he does dive just back underneath the rear wing of the ART. Dark Viper's through into 3rd place, but I think it's going to be a little bit too late. He's 2 seconds off the back of them, and we've only got the Parabolica left before Lolinova is crowned champion. It's going to be a crucial moment for him. The championship is going to be heading Rome in Monza tonight because the hometown hero is going to be heralded at a venue he knows like the back of his hand. It's a champion's fight worthy of a Centurion, and this will be his Creator Series Zenith. Kryzik is going to cross the line to win, but it's going to be Lolinova who rounds the final corner and cuts the beam to win the Creator Series F2 Championship. So drag race behind us. Dark Viper comes home only in 3rd. He'll be ready to pop the champagne in his home country. Your champions of Creator Series F2. The name in lights is Lolinova of ART in Italy, your champion of season number 3.
What a drive from Lolinova. Has done everything he needed to do this week. The momentum served in his favour. Bunch of cars crossing the line, having unserved penalties and whatnot. Oh, Dark Viper, your heart somewhat breaks for him in a way. Had such a strong week last week. Didn't make that move at the Dutch Grand Prix. On Kryzix, he said, I wanted the points. I didn't want to full send it. Just missed out after the parabolic of peril for Hayden Gullis. Possibly just a bit of self-preservation at play during that sprint. Such fine margins, and in the end, I'm not sure who got the fastest lap, whether it was Lolinoba or Kryzix or whoever. But they finish, if neither of them have, on the same number of points. And it will be countback, I believe, that Lolinoba wins the championship on. I feel like a bit of a prediction prince now.
Absolutely, you called it before. It was a titanic tussle in Monza, and unfortunately it left Dark Viper with a sinking feeling. Miracle madness in Monza because the hometown favourite has picked up the championship, and he joins Unstopped Rob. He joins Mr. Dale J.E. as the exclusive F2 Creator Series champions. Dark Viper disconsolate, but he's already established himself as a force to be reckoned with. And even though the championship slipped through his fingers tonight, I am sure if he is back next season, he'll be back with a bang, back with vengeance in season number 4. But it is legend in Italy. Lolinoba, he is your champion, and deservedly so as well.
Couldn't agree more. What a blinder he played during this week. It's a thumbs up from the man on top at the Temple of Speed. Kryzix has it, and it was Lolinoba who got fastest lap. So he does end up winning the championship by 1 point. It would have been him on countback anyway, but there's your statement for you. Goodness me. Kryzix P1, Lolinoba P2, Dark Viper. So close yet so far, but the Viper will be back with Venom next season, I am sure. Hayden Gullis P4, Dragonflies P5, F1 Alex P6, commendable drive. Pondon in 7th, Luke Howick in 8th, good recovery from him. Arseno in 9th, Adam Sanderson in 10th place, Jessball 11th, Dan Moran in 12th, Zach RC, F1 Scott in 14th. Picking up, well, what would be the last points paying position is Mr. Dale, Gwatz and Blackmere not making it into that top 15. Wasn't their day today, but it certainly was the day of Lolinoba.
Outstanding. Sack the script writers. You couldn't write it. That was an unbelievable end. We went right down to the wire, and in the end, Lolinoba taking it. But Dark Viper, thoughts go out to him. He was brilliant throughout the season. He was dealt such a daunting task, hunting down the runaway championship leader Lolinoba in his absence, and unfortunately the Viper couldn't quite strike right at the death. Both would have been worthy champions. Both were exceptional in the races they took part in. In the end, it was Lolinoba, and we are hopefully going to get to speak to, well, anyone who wants to join and wants to talk to us, feel free. We'll have a party in the interview room in a few moments' time. I can't think of. Obviously, we had the season 7 finale in France in the F1 season last year, but I think this was, for the drama we had, this could compete with it. I know we had that last lap move, but this was so exciting right to the death. We didn't know what Lolinoba was going to do. Dark Viper was right in there. It was the ARTs that disrupted it, unfortunately, for the Van Alsford, but incredible race, incredible finale, a fitting way to end out season number 3, I think.
It's Formula 2 epitomised. You can't really get much more Formula 2 than what we had this week. The sprint race had it all. It had juicy battles, massive DRS trains. You didn't know who was probably going to be in P3 until the last corner, but we eventually found it out. Same kind of thing in the feature race. It could have gone any way. Like, millimetric precision was what determined that result today. Also, if you think we're out of animal references, ladies and gentlemen, think again. We've got plenty of those on tap. But what a week of racing, honestly. Like I say, it epitomises it completely. And rapturous racing. That's the best way I can put it. Rapturous racing.
I think we go back to as well. Half a tenth. That was the gap between Hayden and Dark Viper in the sprint race. That position would have made all the difference in the end, I think. Oh no, it wouldn't, because it was Lolinoba did get fast as lap, didn't he, there? So we would have ended up, it would have been even more dramatic because we would have ended up level on points. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Could have been, should have been. I mean, you never know in this game, but equally, if Dark Viper had made that move in the sprint race, Lolinoba hadn't got the fastest lap, what then? You just don't know. You just don't know in this game, but thank you, Monza. Thank you to the Temple of Speed. It spruced up everything it needed to for us. Also, credit to Kryzix. Again, my feature race prediction, but it's just it cements just how determined he's been in these feature races. That's 3 on the bounce now, a hat-trick of feature race wins to end the season. That's got to be surely some of the most positive momentum to take as we head into another season soon.
100%. The Frenchman finishing with a flourish, and like you said, if he is here in season number 4, watch out, because he is in fine form, a hat-trick. Like you said, 3 of the best, he's made them pay. But we are going to get ready for a couple of interviews. Hopefully, well, I think Lolinova is probably celebrating. So I think, first of all, we should bring in the race winner, Cryzix. Talk to him about that and talk about the dynamic. Cryzix, hello. Sorry that we've dragged you in slightly unawares there, but a win to finish off the season, 3 feature race victories in a row. You must be delighted with how that's gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Strategy is the key here, and I pit last with Loli, and I know if my overtakes will be in a good place, I can fight for the win. Like the sprints, I analyze a bit the race. I was a bit patient, and I create opportunities to be in the first position at the end. Great result, and happy to be back on the first march of the podium.
Cryzix, congratulations. It was a brilliant week from you. Comfortably 3rd in the championship. 3 feature race wins on the bounce for you. I mean, that must feel good, but it also must be such good momentum you can take with you going forward.
Yeah, actually, I'm good. I feel okay and confident with the car. My main default is to set a good quali lap and be on top. Only 1 pole this season, but in race, in the last three races, like you said, I push everywhere and did a great strategy, great analyze, like I said before, to go on the top 3 in a row. So pretty happy, and I hope to fight for the championship next season, or if I can do some race in F1, I will look at it.
Yeah, I've got to ask you what that dynamic was like, fighting with the 2 drivers that are in main contention for the championship. How did that dynamic feel for you?
Dynamic feels good. So yeah. I'm just good, and I'm relaxed, no stress, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, I think if Carl, you don't have anything else to add there, I think we are done. So congratulations on your feature race victory, 3 in a row, as you said, a very nice hat-trick for you to take into the next season, and we wish you all the best for it if you are around, of course.
Yeah, of course, I hope, and see you soon, probably.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Well done, good job.
I've just seen. Well, sorry.
No, sorry, my apologies. I think Cryzix has really cemented himself as a championship contender, or hot championship favourite for next season. You got to say.
I mean, the battle for 3rd was non-existent. Really, he absolutely walked it. We thought it might be close. Would Adam Sanson and F1 Alex pull it back in the final race of the season? But unfortunately not. Well, unfortunately for those guys, for Cryzix, they'll be absolutely delighted that they had slightly underwhelming races. Shall we bring in Dark Viper now to have a discussion with our championship runner-up?
Yes, let's do it.
Viper, hello, commiserations. Just if you can sum up your emotions right now for us.
Well, it's not a great day, but I just thought I'd come in for an interview and congratulate Lolly. It was a good fight. I had 1 extra race, so it was still nice to bring it to the end.
No, it's a good job though. You obviously rectified. There wasn't a huge amount of damage from the sprint race, but you took good lessons from it, I think, into the feature race. How difficult was the racing in particular? Obviously, a lot of DRS trains that were at play. So how was it in terms of judging when to make the move and when to just be a bit patient?
Well, I don't really want to be a bummer, but I lost. My nana lost her husband this morning, and me and him were really close. So it was just gutting coming into like the race. It was a good distraction though, and actually, without the championship, the racing was great. It was one of like the closest races of the season. There was 2 different strategies that were fighting out the front, and like 3 different teams. So it was really fun. But just going for 1 wrong move, it would put you out of DRS or just cost me so much time. really difficult to manage.
I mean, I think the main thing we have to do is congratulate you, because it's been a pleasure to watch you this season. Incredible battles, incredible speed. Hopefully, if you are coming back next season, we'll see you right at the sharp end again. It's been fantastic to watch, I have to say.
Yeah, I actually that had to be one of like the best races to watch, with like me boxing earlier. Just the amount of overtakes that were going on. That's got to be like all-time Creator Series race for sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming into the commentary box to have a quick word with us. Commiserations, but congratulations on a fantastic season. We desperately hope that we do see you in season number 4 as well.
Thank you guys. Come back on. Well, I'll say.
Top job, Viper. Good job, man.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for talking to us. Oh, it's sad, isn't it? It's sad, but well, I feel, I don't know if anyone's been looking at the chat. I feel I may have started something with announcing the championship as it's coming Rome. That's been occurring a couple of times. But shall we bring in the new F2 champion? I think we should have a word with Lolinova. I'm sure we'll be the first people that he's going to be desperate to talk to in this situation. Let's bring Lolinova in. I mean, we're all delighted for you, my friend. You are the F2 champion. You go alongside Unstop Rob and Mr. Dale G as the Formula 2 champions. Just sum up your emotions for us.
Hello, thank you so much. It's really, really good. Today was an amazing battle between the top 4, I think, or 5. But it was so funny to see and to play. I am really happy because I get surgery like 3 weeks ago, 4. And I don't know. I missed like 4 races, maybe. And that's so cool to win at my home, I can say, because we're from Italy, so that's really, really, really good.
No, it makes it all the more sweet, doesn't it? No, it's honestly an unbelievable drive from you. I think my main question was there any one point during that weekend where you thought, I'm going to win this?
I never think that, because I think I can see I can win, because I see Viper like box 5 laps early before me, and with a better tire, I can't escape from him. So I prefer to say this is a really, really, really funny race, and I don't know. At the start of this weekend, I can say I can win, I can lose. It's not expected.
Well, it was a fantastic performance. We've got to ask you, because unfortunately we had a few issues and we actually missed the pass for the lead. We weren't quite sure how you overtook Dark Viper. Obviously you came out of the pits behind him, had to chase him down and overtake him to win the championship. Do you want to talk us through that move? We didn't see it, obviously. But...
Yeah, I see my strategy. He say like I come back when I go to box to 2nd or 3rd position, and when I see 3rd position, I was behind him. And when I see 2nd, I was in front of him. So I say, okay, in the first corner, I need to overtake him. But I come out the box and I was behind him, like for 1 second, 1/2 second. And I say, okay, I have better tire, like 40%, 30%. And I can overtake him. And I say, I got it fast lap. And a good overtake, I think, in turn 1. Yeah, maybe. I don't remember. Yeah, turn 1, because I take DRS from Parabolica. So that's really good. And really, really good drive from Dark, because it's not easy to stay in a DRS zone in Monza with a not good tire.
Absolutely right. I think one final thing from me. What was your mindset like going into this week? Obviously, you were chasing the championship at the beginning of this F2 week just by a few points, but what was your mindset like going through into that sprint race, into that week as a whole?
Yeah, I was 4 points behind him, so I say the sprint is really important, because they give like 1 point up, and if you go from 4 to 5 points, I win. If I come first and him 2nd, the fastest lap can sing the world champion. So I say I need to maximize my sprint maximize my qualifying because I need to start first and don't destroy my laps and my front wing. Same on sprint race. I was so worried at the start, but I say I need to stay all the time in front of him. So that's my mindset for this race.
Well, absolutely incredible. I'm sure you are delighted, and all of your fans are as well. And you take your place in the Creator Series F2 Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for talking to us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
As always. And yeah, best of luck for whether you're in F1 next season or back in F2 trying to defend your championship.
Yeah, maybe together. I don't know. It was fun for next season.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, there you are.
Day, this has been.
I know, it's been unbelievably fun. And there you are, championship leader. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, yes, like you were gonna, I think you were going to say it really, but let's have a look at the final standings, ladies and gentlemen. There's your confirmation. 1 point is all that separates the top 2 drivers. Kryzix, like Tom said, is a runaway. He didn't have any words, didn't have any competition. Imagine me, a commentator, mumbling up my words. But anyway, Adam Sanderson takes 4th. Only 2 points in it, though, from F1. Alex Dragonfly's not too far behind in the end. And Luke Howick, answering our question, did cross the 100-point barrier.
Chesnoid will feel. I don't know about you, but if I ended a season on 99 points, obviously Ches wasn't here this week, but that would absolutely grind my gears. Maybe no CD thing. F1 Scott with 90 points, Dirt Chocolate, who we've only seen a couple of times this season, F1 Damien, Hoodie Pete Pond and B-Roy, Zach RC, Viga Damaran, and Jess Games rounding out the top 20 for the Creator Series F2 standings. Wow, I mean, if we can try and sum up that race, it's going to be very, very difficult. It left us wanting more. It was an absolute pleasure. I think maybe have we got is Hayden coming in for an interview? I'm not 100% sure.
Might be.
If Hayden, yes, Hayden is coming in for an interview. Hello, Hayden Gullis. That was very interesting to watch. You and your ART teammate being the ultimate disruption for the 2 championship protagonists. How did it pan out from your perspective?
It's good to be at the front again. You know, it's a rarity. Good to be at the front. Really, really enjoyed it. It was just a shame I got put on used set of super softs when I came into the box. Otherwise, I think I could have maybe fought for the win a bit more. But I came out that pits, went around a couple of corners, and I was like 8% on the front, and I was like, oh, we're in trouble here. We are in trouble.
No, I didn't realise you were on a used super soft set. That's a tongue twister. Goodness me. Just alluding to the racing really at Monza. We've talked about it a little bit, but just in terms of how difficult was it to manage in some ways, knowing when to make the moves, and also, well, it's more basically when to make the moves, because whether you overtake first, leave yourself exposed. What was your mindset with some of the overtaking moves that you did?
I mean, the sprint race was just to kind of have fun with it. I wasn't really too worried about catching up to... I think we could have caught up to Luke and Scott if we just all worked together and worked with the slipstream and just backed off and didn't fight every lap. But I wanted to have some fun with it. That's what the sprint race is for. So it was just really enjoying being in that mix with Lolly, with Kryzix, and I think Dragonflies was in there as well. And I think there was somebody else in that fight. There was like 5 of us. I just really enjoyed it. The main race, at least once the super soft drivers had started to box, then that's when I calmed down a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. We're just going to sit here. We're just going to be comfortable. And then we'll fight again later once we're back into lead packs. I knew we had the best strategy. I love the medium super soft or the medium soft strategy. It's always the better strategy for me, I feel like, to go for. But yeah, it was just a case of just having fun with it. I just really enjoyed it. There was a few times as well that I just watched those two. If they both got ahead of me, Kryzix and Lolinoba, go into turn 1, 2, and then I could just switch back both of them. And it was just really, really enjoyable being at the front, fighting with those guys, and not having issues with the cars. So it was a good weekend.
Obviously enjoyable, but were there a few nerves fighting with the 2 drivers going for the championship?
A little bit. Like, you don't want to be that driver who's taken out one of the championship contenders and given out the championship to somebody else. So it had to be wise. And, you know, looking back at the battles, Dark Viper nearly got me at the line in the sprint race. That would have given him an extra point, put him equal with Lolly. And I don't know which one of them got the fastest lap in the sprint race, because I think somebody outside the top 10 got it. So I'm not too sure if it's awarded to someone. But regardless, I was like, oh no, that might not work out well in the end. And then of course we had a wheel-to-wheel run down to the line again, a photo finish in the main race. I just wanted the podium. Like, okay, he's fighting for the championship, but I had my own race that I was fighting for. I was hoping actually when we came across Stark, because obviously he did the alternate strategy compared to us, that he was going to, you know, him and Lolly, I was like, I don't care who wins in the championship out of you two, just let me win this race. Let me into the lead, and you guys can fight over second as much as you want.
How would you summarise, from your perspective, this F2 season as a whole?
A big learning curve. I was fairly decent in the first season of F2 cars. On last year's game, this year's game, I've really struggled. They're very on the nose. I've really struggled with... I think the main thing is just being patient on the downshifts. In F1, it's all about engine braking. You smash down those gears as quickly as possible. In F2, it's trusting the car's going to stop in time, and you don't have to smash the gears. You just have to be nice and smooth with it. Wait for the car to get slowed down, but still carry the speed through the corner. So I'd say a big learning curve, but a lot of ups and downs. I think there were potential chances to win races, and that's what I really wanted to do, was just win one race this season. This was a great opportunity. Abu Dhabi was a great opportunity as well, and I think Austria was probably the other one. But other than that, then there were tracks where I just really, really struggled with the car. Australia, I was just horrendous. Could not get it through the corners. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. Next year, I'm going to be more of a reserve in F2, but going to race as much as I possibly can. And F1 is going to be my full-time seat, and try and take the fun from F2 off to F1 and try and yeah, make it more fun up there rather than sweaty league racing. But I'll be back in F2 as much as I possibly can be.
Well, we're delighted to hear that, of course. Thank you, of course, for talking to us as well. Pleasure as always, and yeah, best of luck for the next season, whether you are in F1 and F2 or we see you only a couple of times. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, guys. Great stuff on the broadcast.
Thank you, Hayden.
Thank
Nice
you,
one.
Hayden. Well, I think the closing statement for us to say is, it came Rome, everybody. It
Oh,
came
no.
Rome. Lolin Ober. I've started it off again, everybody. Lolin Ober is your champion. We had a fantastic finale. First time in F2 that we had a championship fight, going all the way to the final feature race. And just on a personal note, it was a pleasure to commentate on, pleasure to be a part of. And yeah, it was a really, really exciting way to get our first season of F2 underway on F1 24.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. I echo your sentiments when you say it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of the broadcast and to commentate on this race in particular. What a way to finish, honestly. Right down to the very wire. Congratulations to Lolin Ober. And also, I want to give a shout out. You can't see him, he's in the background, he's not on this broadcast, but Monkey Matt has been the one pulling the strings. He's the one that's made this broadcast completely buttery smooth. And if anyone, well, if you want to send your good feedback, he's called Matt. If you want to send your bad feedback, he's called Jeff. So there you are. But he's done an absolute weldy of a job. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Remember, tomorrow you've got the season finale of the F1 Creative Series. Hero Guri already your champion there, but we could be seeing some very exciting races with nothing really on the line apart from the Constructors' Championship. Pleasure as always. Thank you everybody who has stuck around for this season finale of F2. And yeah, we will see you when season 4 of F2 commences in a few weeks' time. Until then, goodbye.